The morning started like any other at the Wildlife Center in Kenya. Dr. Anna Rodriguez was drinking her coffee when her phone rang. The voice on the other end was shaking with excitement. "You need to come here right now," said Tom, the head ranger. "We found her." Anna didn't need to ask who. For months, their team had been searching for the last female northern white rhino that could still have babies. This wasn't just any animal, this was possibly the most important creature on Earth. Her species was almost gone forever. Anna grabbed her research bag and jumped into the jeep. The drive to the special enclosure felt like the longest 20 minutes of her life. Her heart was beating fast. She had studied endangered animals for 12 years, but this was different. This was history happening right in front of her when she arrived. The other scientists were standing quietly around the fence. They all looked serious, like they were in a church or something. Anna walked slowly toward the enclosure. She could see a large gray shape moving behind the trees. Then she saw her. The rhino was huge, much bigger than Anna had expected. Her thick gray skin looked like ancient armor. But what struck Anna most were her eyes. They were dark and deep, like they held secrets from a million years ago. The rhino was eating grass, but when Anna approached the fence, she lifted her massive head. Their eyes met. Anna felt something she had never experienced before. It wasn't fear, even though this animal could easily hurt her. It wasn't just scientific curiosity either. It was something deeper. The rhino was looking at her, really looking at her, like she was trying to figure out who Anna was and why she was there. "Her name is Cassie," Tom whispered. "She's 32 years old. The last one, who can still have babies." Anna nodded but couldn't take her eyes off Cassie. The rhino took a step closer to the fence. Anna could hear her breathing, slow and steady. Cassie's horn was shorter than Anna expected, worn down from years of rubbing against trees and rocks. "She's been alone for 3 years now," Tom continued. "Since the last male passed away. We think she knows something is wrong. She's been acting differently lately." Anna pulled out her notebook with shaking hands. She was supposed to be taking scientific notes, but all she could write was, "Day 1, first meeting with Cassie, she's watching me." The other scientists started discussing plans and procedures, but Anna barely heard them. Cassie was still staring at her, and Anna felt like the rhino was trying to tell her something important. Maybe it was crazy, but Anna felt like Cassie knew exactly what was happening, like she understood that Anna was there to help. "Can I go closer?" Anna asked. The security guard looked nervous. "She's never hurt anyone, but she's still a wild animal. Stay at least 6 feet from the fence." Anna walked closer slowly. Cassie watched every step. When Anna was about 4 feet from the fence, Cassie moved toward her too. Now they were separated by just a few feet and some metal bars. Anna could smell the earthy scent of the rhino, like dirt and grass and something ancient. Cassie's breathing was so quiet Anna could barely hear it. The rhino's eyes never left Anna's face. "Hi, Cassie," Anna whispered. She felt silly talking to a rhino, but something told her to do it. "I'm Anna, I'm here to help you." Cassie's ears twitched. She tilted her head slightly, like a dog trying to understand a new command. Then she did something that made Anna's breath catch in her throat. Cassie took another step forward and gently pressed her nose against the fence, right where Anna was standing. The other scientists went quiet. Tom pulled out his phone to take a picture, but Anna held up her hand to stop him. This moment felt too important for photos. "She likes you," said Dr. Peterson, the oldest scientist on the team. "In 40 years of working with animals, I've never seen anything like this. She's choosing you." Anna didn't understand what that meant yet, but she felt the weight of it. Looking into Cassie's eyes, she saw something that made her chest tight with emotion. It was hope, but also sadness. Like Cassie was asking for help but didn't know if help was possible. That's when the reality hit Anna like a truck. This wasn't just about one animal. Cassie was carrying the entire future of her species. If they couldn't help her have babies, northern white rhinos would disappear from Earth forever. After millions of years, they would be gone because humans had hunted them and destroyed their homes. And now this magnificent creature was looking at Anna like she might be the answer. Anna stayed at the fence for 2 more hours. Cassie didn't leave either. Sometimes the rhino would walk around her enclosure, eating grass or drinking water, but she always came back to where Anna was standing. Other scientists came and went, taking notes and discussing plans, but Anna felt like she and Cassie were having their own private conversation without words. As the sun started to set, Anna finally had to leave. She was supposed to meet with the team to discuss their next steps, but as she walked away from the fence, she looked back one more time. Cassie was standing exactly where Anna had left her, watching Anna walk away. In that moment, Anna made a promise. To herself and to Cassie, she would do everything in her power to save this species. She would not let Cassie be the last one. The drive back to the research station was quiet. Anna kept thinking about those eyes, so intelligent, so trusting. She had never felt such a strong connection to an animal before. It was like Cassie had chosen her for this mission, and Anna knew her life had just changed forever. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Cassie, alone in her enclosure, carrying the weight of her entire species. Anna realized that tomorrow, the real work would begin. They had to figure out how to help Cassie have babies when there were no males left. It seemed impossible, but looking into those wise eyes had given Anna something she hadn't expected to find: hope. 3 weeks after meeting Cassie, Anna found herself in a completely different world. The advanced laboratory in California looked like something from a science fiction movie. Glass walls, bright white lights, and machines that hummed quietly in the background. This was where they would try to save Cassie's species. Dr. Martinez, the head of the reproductive science team, walked Anna through the facility. "We've never attempted anything this complex before," he explained, stopping in front of a room filled with microscopes and computer screens. "We're trying to create life from a species that nature has already decided should end." Anna felt the weight of those words. Every day that passed, Cassie was getting older. At 32, she was already considered elderly for a rhino. Most females her age had stopped having babies years ago, but Cassie was their only hope. "How much time do we have?" Anna asked. Dr. Martinez looked uncomfortable. "Maybe 6 months, maybe less. Her body is still healthy, but biology doesn't wait for anyone." The plan sounded like something impossible. They would collect Cassie's eggs and combine them with frozen sperm from male rhinos who had died years ago. Then they would try to create embryos in a laboratory. If that worked, they would put the embryos into surrogate mothers, female rhinos from a related species, who might be able to carry northern white rhino babies. Anna's job was to work with Cassie during the procedures. The scientists had discovered that Cassie stayed calm when Anna was around. Without Anna there, Cassie would get stressed and the procedures would be dangerous for everyone. The first attempt was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. Anna flew back to Kenya feeling nervous. She hadn't seen Cassie in 2 weeks, and she wondered if the rhino would remember her. She didn't need to worry. As soon as Anna walked up to the enclosure, Cassie lifted her head from the grass and walked straight to the fence. The big rhino made a soft rumbling sound that Anna had never heard before. "She missed you," said Tom, smiling. "She's been walking to this spot every morning, like she was waiting for you to come back." Anna felt her throat get tight with emotion. She reached through the fence and gently touched Cassie's nose. "I missed you too, girl. We're going to try something important today." The medical team arrived an hour later with their equipment. Anna had learned that the procedure would be difficult. They would need to use special tools to collect Cassie's eggs, and it would be uncomfortable for her. Anna's job was to keep Cassie calm and still during the whole process. Dr. Peterson, the veterinarian, looked worried. "If she gets scared and moves at the wrong time, someone could get hurt. Are you sure you can handle this?" Anna looked at Cassie, who was watching the preparation, with curious eyes. "She trusts me. I won't let her down." The procedure began slowly. Anna stood right next to Cassie's head, talking to her in a quiet voice. "It's okay, girl. These people are here to help. I know it's scary, but we're trying to give you something wonderful." Cassie's eyes stayed focused on Anna's face. Even when the medical tools came out, even when the procedure started, Cassie never looked away. Anna kept talking, telling Cassie about her childhood, about her favorite movies, about anything that came to mind. It didn't matter what she said, Cassie just needed to hear her voice. But 20 minutes into the procedure, something went wrong. Dr. Peterson pulled back with a frustrated expression. "The eggs aren't viable, they're too fragile. We can't use them." Anna felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. All this preparation, all this hope, and they had failed on the first try. "What does that mean?" Anna asked, though she was afraid of the answer. "It means we try again next month," Dr. Martinez said. "But Anna, you need to understand. Each attempt puts stress on Cassie's body. We can't do this forever." That night, Anna sat by Cassie's enclosure until it got dark. The rhino seemed to sense that something hadn't gone well. She stayed close to the fence, occasionally making that soft rumbling sound. "I'm sorry we couldn't make it work today," Anna whispered, "but we're not giving up, I promise you that." The second attempt was 3 weeks later. This time Anna was more prepared. She brought a portable speaker and played classical music during the procedure. Cassie seemed to like the gentle sounds, but again, the eggs weren't strong enough to survive the process. After the third failure, Anna started having trouble sleeping. She would wake up in the middle of the night thinking about Cassie, alone in her enclosure. Not understanding why these strange procedures kept happening, Dr. Martinez called a team meeting after the fourth attempt failed. "We're running out of time," he said bluntly. "Cassie's getting older every day, her egg quality is declining. If we can't make this work in the next 2 attempts, we might have to consider that this project isn't possible." Anna felt anger rising in her chest. "So we just give up. We just let her species disappear forever." "Anna, I understand how you feel," Dr. Martinez said gently. "But we also have to be realistic. We're asking Cassie to do something that might be physically impossible." That evening, Anna sat with Cassie as the sun set over the African landscape. The rhino rested her massive head against the fence, and Anna reached through to scratch behind her ears. Cassie's skin was thick and rough, but warm. "Everyone thinks this is impossible," Anna said quietly. "But you and I know better, don't we? You're not ready to be the last one. You've got fight left in you." Cassie made that rumbling sound again, and Anna chose to believe it meant yes. The 5th attempt was scheduled for the following month. Anna decided to change her approach. Instead of treating it like a medical procedure, she would treat it like she was helping a friend through a difficult time. She spent the week before the procedure visiting Cassie every day, just talking and being present. She learned that Cassie liked it when Anna sang old songs from her grandmother. She discovered that Cassie was curious about Anna's notebook and would try to sniff it through the fence. Most importantly, Anna realized that Cassie wasn't just an animal they were trying to save. She was an individual with her own personality, her own likes and dislikes, her own way of seeing the world. And somehow, Cassie had decided that Anna was her person, the human she trusted to help her through this impossible situation. As the day of the 5th attempt approached, Anna felt different, less desperate, more determined. She looked into Cassie's intelligent eyes and made a new promise. "Whatever happens, I'll be right here with you. We'll face this together." Anna made a decision that changed everything. She packed her bags and moved to Kenya permanently. Her friends back home thought she was crazy. Her boyfriend didn't understand why she was choosing a rhino over their relationship. But Anna knew she had to be close to Cassie every day. "You're getting too attached," Dr. Peterson warned her during their first week working together full-time. "This is science, not a friendship." But Anna disagreed. Every morning when she arrived at the enclosure, Cassie would walk straight to the fence. The big rhino had learned Anna's schedule and would be waiting at exactly 8 o'clock. Sometimes Anna would find Cassie standing in the same spot she had left her the night before, like she hadn't moved at all. Anna started keeping a different kind of notebook. Instead of just writing scientific observations, she recorded personal things about Cassie. She noticed that Cassie liked to roll in the mud on hot days, but only in one specific corner of her enclosure. She discovered that Cassie had a favorite tree where she would rub her horn every afternoon at exactly 3 o'clock. Most interesting of all, Anna realized that Cassie had moods just like people do. Some days she was playful, tossing sticks around with her horn. Other days she seemed thoughtful, standing quietly and staring at the horizon. On sad days, Cassie would barely eat and would stay close to wherever Anna was working. "She's grieving," Anna told Tom one evening. "She knows she's alone. She knows her kind are gone." Tom looked skeptical. "Animals don't think about extinction, Anna. They just live day by day." But Anna wasn't convinced. She had spent enough time with Cassie to see the intelligence in her eyes. This wasn't just an animal, following instincts. This was a thinking, feeling creature who understood that something was terribly wrong with her world. The breakthrough came during the 6th attempt to collect viable eggs. Everything was going normally until halfway through the procedure when Cassie suddenly became agitated. Her heart rate spiked, and she started moving restlessly. The veterinary team immediately stepped back. "We need to sedate her," Dr. Peterson said, reaching for the tranquilizer gun. "Wait," Anna said firmly. "Let me try something." Anna walked slowly to Cassie's head. The rhino's eyes were wide and frightened. Anna had never seen her look scared before. Without thinking, Anna did something that broke every safety rule. She climbed over the safety barrier and sat down right next to Cassie's massive head. "Anna, get back here right now," Dr. Peterson shouted, but Anna ignored him. She placed her hand gently on Cassie's forehead, right between her eyes. "Hey girl, it's okay. I'm right here. You're safe." Cassie's breathing started to slow down. Her eyes found Anna's face and stayed there. Anna began humming a lullaby her mother used to sing to her. It was silly, but it felt right. "What are you doing?" she hummed softly. "Are you scared?" "I would be scared too, but we're in this together. Remember, I'm not going anywhere." Something magical happened. Kessie's entire body relaxed, her heart rate returned to normal. She kept her eyes locked on Anna's face, but she stopped moving. The medical team was able to complete the procedure successfully, and for the first time, they collected healthy, viable eggs. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. Not because she was worried, but because she was amazed. She had just experienced something that science couldn't explain. Kessie had been afraid, and Anna's presence had calmed her. It wasn't just training or conditioning, it was trust. Word about Anna and Kessie's special relationship spread throughout the conservation community. Scientists from around the world wanted to study their bond. Camera crews arrived to document their work. Anna hated the attention, but she understood it was important for raising awareness about endangered species. During one filming session, the documentary director asked Anna to explain her connection with Kessie. Anna stood by the fence with Kessie beside her, trying to find the right words. "People think animals are so different from us," Anna said, reaching through the fence to touch Kessie's nose. "But look at her eyes. She's thinking, she's feeling, she's hoping, just like we do." As if on cue, Kessie moved closer to the fence and gently pressed her forehead against Anna's hand. The camera captured the moment, and Anna saw tears in the director's eyes. But the attention came with a price. Anna's old life was completely gone. She lived in a small cabin near the research station, eating simple meals and working 16-hour days. Her family called less and less. Her friends stopped inviting her to visit because they knew she would always say no. Anna's sister called one evening, frustrated and worried. "You've given up everything for this animal. What happens when she's gone? What will you have left?" Anna looked out her window toward Kessie's enclosure. Even in the dark, she could see Kessie's silhouette against the starlight. "I'll have the knowledge that I did everything I could, that I didn't abandon her when she needed someone most." The procedures became routine. Every few weeks, Anna would guide Kessie through another attempt to collect eggs or create embryos. Each time Anna would sit beside Kessie's head, talking and humming and keeping her calm. The success rate improved dramatically. The medical team started calling Anna the Rhino Whisperer, though she hated the nickname. More importantly, Anna began to understand that their relationship was changing both of them. Kessie was becoming more trusting and social. She would play with objects Anna brought her, and she started making more of those rumbling sounds that Anna had learned meant contentment. But Anna was changing too. She found herself thinking like Kessie, noticing things she had never paid attention to before. The way morning light looked different each day, how the wind carried different scents that told stories about the weather and the other animals nearby. The simple pleasure of just existing in a moment without worrying about the future. One afternoon, Anna was sitting by the fence reading research papers when she noticed Kessie watching her with unusual intensity. The rhino walked to the fence and did something she had never done before. She lowered her massive head and gently touched Anna's shoulder with her horn. Dotter was the most tender gesture Anna had ever experienced from any creature, human or animal. Kessie held the position for several seconds, like she was giving Anna a hug. Then she stepped back and looked directly into Anna's eyes. In that moment, Anna understood something profound. This wasn't just about saving a species anymore. This was about two different kinds of beings who had found each other across the divide that usually separates humans from the natural world. Kessie had chosen Anna to be her companion in this impossible situation, and Anna had accepted that responsibility completely. The local staff at the research station had noticed a change in both Anna and Kessie. Joseph, the head groundskeeper, told Anna one evening, "In all my years working with animals, I have never seen anything like what you two have. She has adopted you into her family." Anna smiled at that thought. Maybe Joseph was right. Maybe she and Kessie were family now, connected by something deeper than species or science. They were two individuals facing an uncertain future together, and that bond had become the most important thing in Anna's life. As she walked back to her cabin that night, Anna made peace with her choices. She had given up her old life, but she had gained something irreplaceable. She had become part of something bigger than herself, and she knew that whatever happened next, she and Kessie would face it together. After 18 months of failures and small victories, everything changed on a Thursday morning in March. Anna was having her usual breakfast when her phone rang. Dr. Martinez's voice was shaking with excitement. "Anna, you need to sit down. We did it. We actually did it." Anna's coffee cup slipped from her hands and crashed to the floor. "What do you mean?" "The embryos from last week's procedure, they're growing, they're healthy. We have 3 viable northern white rhino embryos developing in the lab." Anna couldn't speak. She had imagined this moment hundreds of times, but now that it was real, she felt dizzy. After all those failed attempts, All those heartbreaking disappointments. They had finally created life. She ran to Cassie's enclosure, not caring that she was still in her pajamas. Cassie was standing in her usual morning spot, chewing grass peacefully. When she saw Anna running toward her, she lifted her head with what Anna could only describe as curiosity. "Cassie, girl, we did it," Anna shouted, reaching through the fence to touch the rhino's nose. "You're going to be a mother. Your babies are growing in a laboratory right now." Cassie made that deep rumbling sound that Anna had learned meant she was content. It was as if she understood that something wonderful had happened. The next few weeks felt like a dream. Scientists from around the world called to congratulate the team. News reporters wanted interviews. Conservation organizations called it the most important breakthrough in species preservation history. Anna found herself on television, trying to explain their work to audiences who could barely believe what they were hearing. But even as the world celebrated, Anna knew the hardest part was still ahead. The embryos had to survive for months before they could be implanted into surrogate mothers. Even then, there was no guarantee the pregnancies would be successful. They were still walking on a tightrope with no safety net. Anna spent more time with Cassie during those weeks, sharing her hopes and fears with the only creature who seemed to truly understand what was at stake. "Your babies are growing stronger." Every day she would tell Cassie soon we'll need to find them mothers who can carry them safely. Cassie always listened carefully when Anna talked about the babies. She would stand very still, her dark eyes focused on Anna's face, like she was memorizing every word. Then, just as everything seemed to be going perfectly, Anna noticed something that made her stomach drop. Cassie was moving more slowly. She was eating less. Some mornings, she didn't come to the fence right away when Anna arrived. Anna called Dr. Peterson immediately. "Something's wrong with Cassie. She's not acting like herself." The examination results were devastating. Cassie's kidneys were failing. It was a common problem in older rhinos, but there was no cure. Dr. Peterson delivered the news gently, but Anna heard every word like a physical blow. "How long does she have?" Anna asked, though she was terrified of the answer. "Maybe 6 months, maybe less. We can make her comfortable, but Anna, you need to prepare yourself. Her body is wearing out." Anna felt like the world was falling apart. Just when they had achieved the impossible, just when Cassie's babies were developing successfully, they were going to lose her. Anna sat by Cassie's enclosure that evening, watching the sunset and trying to process what she had learned. "This isn't fair," she whispered to Cassie. "You should get to meet your babies. You should get to see that your species will continue." Cassie moved closer to the fence and did something she had only done a few times before. She lowered her massive head and gently touched Anna's forehead with her own. The gesture was so tender, so full of understanding, that Anna started crying. The media attention became overwhelming. Everyone wanted to know about the miracle rhino babies and the last fertile female. Anna hated how they talked about Cassie like she was already gone. Reporters would ask insensitive questions about what would happen after the rhino dies. Anna started refusing most interviews. "They don't understand," she told Tom one afternoon. "They think this is just a science story. They don't see Cassie as an individual. They don't know her personality, her moods, the way she hums when she's happy." Tom nodded sympathetically. He had watched Anna's relationship with Cassie develop over the past 2 years, and he understood that Anna wasn't just losing a research subject, she was losing her closest friend. The laboratory team worked frantically to accelerate their timeline. If they could successfully implant the embryos into surrogate mothers soon, maybe Cassie could live long enough to know that her babies were safe. It was a race against time that felt impossible to win. Anna started spending entire days at Cassie's enclosure. She brought her laptop and worked from a chair beside the fence. Cassie seemed to appreciate the company. On her good days, she would stand close to Anna, occasionally making soft sounds that Anna interpreted as conversation. "Tell me about your life before all this," Anna would say to Cassie. "Did you have friends? Did you play with other rhinos when you were young? I wish I could have seen you in the wild, free and happy." Cassie would listen to these questions with patient attention, sometimes tilting her head like she was considering her answers. The breakthrough came 6 weeks later. Dr. Martinez called with news that made Anna's heart race. "We're ready to implant the embryos. We found 3 surrogate mothers who are healthy and willing. If this works, we'll have baby northern white rhinos in about 16 months. Anna shared the news with Cassie immediately. "Your babies are going to have mothers to carry them safely, 3 different mothers, so we have the best chance of success." That evening Anna made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. She arranged for a special ceremony at Cassie's enclosure. She invited the entire research team, the local staff, and even some of the community leaders from nearby villages. Kessie isn't just the last of her kind, Anna told the gathered crowd. She's an individual who trusted us with the future of her species. She deserves to be honored not just as a scientific subject, but as the remarkable creature she is. They planted a tree beside Kessie's enclosure, a tree that would grow for decades and serve as a living memorial to Kessie's contribution to conservation. As Anna read a short speech she had written, Kessie stood beside the fence, calm and dignified, like she understood that this ceremony was for her. The implantation procedure was scheduled for the following week. Anna knew it might be the last major milestone that Kessie would live to see. As they prepared for what could be their final breakthrough together, Anna felt a mixture of hope and heartbreak that was almost too much to bear that night. As Anna sat by Kessie's enclosure under the African stars, she made a promise that she intended to keep no matter what happened next. When your babies are born, I'll tell them about you. I'll make sure they know about their mother who was brave enough to trust humans with her legacy. You won't be forgotten, Kessie. Your story will live forever. Kessie moved close to the fence one more time and pressed her forehead against Anna's hand. In that gentle touch, Anna felt everything that words couldn't express: gratitude, love, and a quiet acceptance of whatever the future would bring. The call came at sunrise on a Tuesday morning in March. Anna was already awake, sitting by her window and watching Kessie's enclosure in the distance. He had barely slept for weeks, knowing that each day could be Kessie's last. Anna Tom's voice was gentle on the phone. You need to come quickly. It's time. Anna's hands were shaking as she got dressed. She had prepared for this moment for months, but nothing could have made it easier. When she reached the enclosure, she found Kessie lying peacefully in her favorite spot under the acacia tree. The big rhino's breathing was slow and labored, but her eyes were still bright and alert. Hey, beautiful girl, Anna whispered, kneeling beside the fence. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Kessie lifted her massive head slightly and looked directly at Anna. In those dark eyes, Anna saw everything they had shared together: the trust, the friendship, the hope they had built from nothing. Kessie made one last soft rumbling sound, and Anna knew it was her way of saying goodbye. Dr. Peterson stood nearby with tears in his eyes. She waited for you, he said quietly. She's been holding on until you got here. Anna reached through the fence and placed her hand on Kessie's forehead, right between her eyes where she had touched her so many times before. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for giving us hope. Kessie closed her eyes peacefully, and Anna felt her breathing slow down and finally stop. The last wild-born northern white rhino was gone, but her legacy was already growing in laboratory incubators hundreds of miles away. The next few days passed in a blur of sadness and overwhelming media attention. News outlets around the world reported Kessie's passing. Conservation groups called her death the end of an era. Anna found herself giving interviews she didn't want to give, answering questions that felt too personal and too painful. But then, exactly 2 weeks after Kessie's peaceful passing, Anna received the phone call that changed everything. Dr. Martinez's voice was electric with excitement. Anna, the first implantation worked. One of the surrogate mothers is pregnant. We're going to have a northern white rhino baby. Anna sat down hard in her chair. After all the loss and heartbreak, after saying goodbye to Kessie, life was winning. The future that Anna and Kessie had worked so hard to create was becoming real. The pregnancy progressed beautifully. Anna visited the surrogate mother, a southern white rhino named Luna, every week. Luna was patient and gentle, carrying her precious cargo with calm dignity. Anna would sit by Luna's enclosure and tell her about Kessie. The baby you're carrying is very special, Anna would say to Luna. Her biological mother was the bravest rhino I ever knew. She never gave up hope, even when everything seemed impossible. 16 months after Kessie's death, Anna got the call she had been waiting for. Luna was in labor, and the baby was coming. Anna drove to the facility through the night, her heart pounding with anticipation and fear. So much could still go wrong, but when Anna arrived at the birthing area, she witnessed a miracle. A tiny northern white rhino calf was taking her first breaths, healthy and strong. She was smaller than Anna had expected, with wrinkled gray skin and bright, curious eyes that looked exactly like Kessie's. She's perfect, Dr. Peterson said, wiping tears from his cheeks. Completely healthy. The first northern white rhino born in over 20 years. Anna named the calf Hope, because that's what she represented. Hope for a species that had seemed doomed to extinction. As Hope grew stronger over the following weeks, Anna spent hours watching her play and explore her enclosure. The little rhino was curious about everything, investigating new toys and following Luna around like a devoted daughter. But as Hope grew, Aina found herself struggling with difficult questions. What kind of life would Hope have? She would never roam free across the African savanna like her ancestors had. She would never meet others of her kind in the wild. Was this really saving the species, or was it creating something entirely different? Anna decided to write a book about her experience with Kessie. She wanted people to understand that conservation wasn't just about science and statistics. It was about individual animals with their own personalities, their own hopes and fears. It was about the connections that could form between different species when they needed each other most. Kessie wasn't just the last fertile northern white rhino, Anna wrote in her introduction. She was a teacher, a friend, and a bridge between her ancient world and our modern one. She showed me that hope can survive even in the darkest moments. The book became popular around the world. Anna received letters from children who wanted to become conservationists, from adults who had never thought about endangered species before, from other scientists who had formed their own special bonds with the animals they studied. But the most meaningful response came from Joseph, the groundskeeper who had worked at the research station for 30 years. He found Aina one evening, as she was visiting Hope's enclosure. "Miss Anna," he said in his gentle voice, "I have worked with many animals and many scientists. But what you and Kessie had, that was something beyond science. That was love crossing between different worlds." Anna looked at Hope, who was playing with a ball and making happy chirping sounds. In the little rhino's movements, Anna could see echoes of Kessie, the same intelligence in her eyes, the same curiosity about the world around her. 2 more northern white rhino calves were born over the following year. The species was no longer on the absolute brink of extinction. Anna had kept her promise to Kessie. The northern white rhino would continue to exist, but Anna knew that these laboratory-born rhinos were different from their wild ancestors. They would live in protected facilities, carefully monitored and cared for by humans. They would never experience the freedom that Kessie had known in her youth. It was a complicated victory. They had saved the species, but they had also changed it forever. Anna continued her work, but she carried Kessie's memory with her every day. She kept a photo of Kessie on her desk, not a scientific photo, but a personal one showing Kessie with her head pressed against the fence, looking directly at Aina with those wise, trusting eyes. Visitors to the research center often asked Aina about the photo. She would tell them about Kessie's personality, about their friendship, about the trust that had made everything possible. She wanted people to understand that behind every conservation success story was an individual animal who had chosen to trust humans with their future. On quiet evenings, Anna would sit in the same spot where she used to visit with Kessie. She would watch Hope and the other young rhinos playing together, and she would feel Kessie's presence in the warm African wind. The conversation that had begun with that first meaningful look between a woman and a rhino continued in a new generation, carrying forward a legacy of hope that would outlive them all. Anna had learned that some connections transcend species, transcend time, and even transcend death. Kessie was gone, but the trust she had placed in Anna lived on in every healthy rhino calf, in every conservation project inspired by their story, and in every person who learned that hope could survive, even the darkest moments.